everybody, I'm back. I know I've been missing for a while, so in the time that I haven't been here, we've been doing some thinking about what kind of stuff I wanted to do on the channel, what kind of stuff I get asked for the most, and I just decided what I'm going to do is whatever I'm working on in the moment, I'm going to just be real and bring it to you directly, because I think that's going to benefit most of us the most. So today, what I'm working on is A Spark of Magic. My newest release needs an audiobook. So I use ACX for all my audiobook production. ACX does a really cool job of getting all of the narrator stuff brought right to the authors and making it all pretty seamless and easy to work together. I uploaded all the information about ACX, about A Spark of Magic to ACX, and I think I have 4 auditions I need to go through. So today I'm going to sort of go through those. I'm going to be listening to them. I'm not going to be sharing them all with you, because they do have some spoilers, but I'm going to be listening to them, sort of talking through, and hopefully picking a narrator today. So, A Spark of Magic, the project has 3 distinctly different viewpoints, and I'm looking for a narrator who can easily narrate all 3 viewpoints, give all of the strong women their own sort of voice and vibe without having to have multiple narrators, so I would still like one narrator. So, I'm going to go to ACX, and I'm going to find those. I'm going to be listening to them just so I can kind of hear them, and I'll sort of fast forward through that part so it's not too boring for you, but I'll sort of talk through what I'm thinking. And I did pick an audition piece script that included all 3 viewpoints. That's sort of what I'm listening for. Okay, so the first one, I just listened to Tanya's piece and then I paused. The first one, I do notice she's speaking slow. I speak fast. Audiobooks can be sped up, so it's not that big of a deal. She sort of does have a distinct voice for Tanya. There's some pausing and hesitancy where Tanya's real confident, but I could probably talk her through that a little bit. I'm not instantly feeling like, whoa, this is Tanya, but that's okay, I think. So I'm gonna listen to one of the other ones with Tanya and see how that goes. Second one has that air of confidence that I was thinking I wanted for Tanya, which is kind of cool. We'll have to see how she does with the other 3, but I still have 2 more that I'm listening to just for Tanya's piece, and I paused them both in the same spot. Okay, so the second and the third one are both pretty even as far as I'm getting more confident vibes. They clearly listened to what I said Tanya was like. I'm getting a lot of that from both of them, so that's going to make that choice a little tricky. One more. Right away I'm getting young vibes. The girls are teenagers, but I'm not sure. This might be coming across a little younger than I meant. All right, so far I would say the second and the third have really nailed Tanya the most, but remember there's 3 different viewpoints I'm looking for here. And I did give them a description of what I was looking for from each viewpoint, how I wanted them to be different and stand out a little. So Angela, who's the next one I'm going to listen to, always has a little more hesitancy would be a good word for it. Angela's always very concerned about other people, and she doesn't want to come across as too bold or like she's trying to take over the entire conversation. So I almost want that hesitancy in her personality more than Tanya's, but importantly, I want their 2 voices to sound different. So I'm going to listen to the last few seconds of Tanya and then listen to the jump to Angela and see if we get a difference. Exact same voice. Narrator number 1, there's an exact same voice. I don't hear a difference at all, which is not what I wanted, so that's unfortunate. The other thing that I'm noticing is that there is weird hesitancies in the middle of sentences, which I'm not sure I do that, but I'm not sure that it's what I want in the narrator, so I'm not sure about that one. So let's listen to number 2. She's kind of quiet. I wonder if she can turn that volume up. There is a distinctly different voice between Tanya and Angela from narrator number 2. However, she's hesitating a little on the narrating of the magical stuff. It's almost like she's shocking herself by being like, wait a minute, was that magic? Which could die down a little as she reads the whole script and she understands what we're dealing with here, but that's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to hear that. All right, number 3. So I loved narrator number three's Tanya. I really did. Tanya was great. I got that vibe. Even at the end right here where it's getting a little more magical and fantasy, Tanya's vibe was still right. Angela, like right away, that voice was wrong. But I do have a feeling, I mean, that's the kind of feedback a narrator could get, you know, that this voice was right and your other choice, yes, they were different, but I'm not sure it's going to work. But we'll see. I'm going to go with number four and listen to that one. Not hearing a big difference between Angela and Tanya. There's a little difference, a little, but not a big one. There is a couple of things that other characters say, side characters say in this particular script section, and that narrator chose a different voice for them as well. So I feel like that's going to be a lot for this narrator to try to keep track of, but that's not my business. So that's kind of cool. I would have liked to hear more of a difference between Angela and Tanya, but the fact that she's starting to do it might mean it comes out more in a full script. So one more piece. Emily's going to be the hardest one. So, and I did tell them that up front. Emily's age progresses through the story, so she's going to have to grow with the story, which could be a good thing for narrator number three, because that voice that came in too young might work for a young Emily. So I'm going to be interested to see in how they tackle Emily. She's tricky. I picked an Emily at a middle-ish sort of age, just so that I can hear how they do that. Yeah, let's just see how that goes. I'm going to listen to the first one. Narrator number one, I can tell, isn't as practiced, maybe, as some of the other narrators we're looking at. The voice is very similar all the way through. The pauses are in strange spots, and her speed is changing where it shouldn't be. It should be as consistent as possible, and it's varying quite a bit. So that's going to be tricky. I've worked with new narrators before on some of my other ones. That's not usually a problem. They get more comfortable as it goes on. But for this one, already having the challenge of three voices, I'm just not sure that beginning narrator is what I'm going to go with. But we'll see. Listen to the next one, number two. Narrator number two definitely nailed Emily and Tanya. Those two were great. The concern right now is that the hesitancy describing the magical stuff. There's a lot of magical stuff going on in this one, so that's a concern. Plus, in this Emily part right here, I definitely hear the pauses being a little strange, and she almost sounded like she was reading a rough draft, which I guess you could be, but you would think they'd want to read through a script first before they did an audition. So narrator number two has some possibility, has some, I think I could work with that. We could probably make it work. I think she'd be open to feedback, but I do want to hear the other two. So number three. Narrator number three has got Emily's voice down. Really works, seems to be comfortable with the age. In addition, I noticed she dropped in a fourth sort of voice for an older woman character in this scene, and I'm wondering if she did that to show me that she has that range where she could do Emily as Emily gets older. So that was a smart choice on her part. It's not reading like a rough draft, it's reading like she's practiced it. I'm really liking narrator number three, but I do want to make sure I give the fourth narrator a full shot, so I'm going to listen to her Emily. We're going to see how that goes. So I'm definitely not picking up on a different voice, and I had a note here that I noticed the same thing earlier. I've already said that once. So her Tanya, her Angela, her Emily, they all sound the same. So that's concerning because that's one thing I said I didn't want. So I'm thinking my goal today was to spend a little bit of time. I've actually already listened to all of these all the way through, but I wanted to really narrow down and listen to each part just to make my decision. And I think I'm going to make an offer to narrator number three, which is really exciting. I don't want to give her name because I don't know if she'll accept the offer, but I do all that through ACX. So I will send her that offer and we'll see what she says. And that's exciting because that means the Spark of Magic is moving one step closer to an audiobook. Speaking of audiobooks, if you're interested in one and you review audiobooks, I do have a couple of review codes for Projection, my young adult sci-fi, and 30 Days Without Wings, one of my young adult fantasy stories. So if you review audiobooks, make sure you let me know in the comments which one you want, and I'll be giving a couple away free so you can review those for me. And Spark of Magic is moving on to the next step. So that's what I was working on today. If you have questions or comments, let me know. If you like this new format, a little more informal and a little more just in my face and what I'm working on, make sure you let me know in the comments. Keep plotting the path to your own dreams, and I will see you next time. Bye.